My chest caves in the second I read it. Selene, stay home from Lydia's wedding. You'd sour the pictures. We need flawless for her moment. Mom. One tap, one send, and the air in my lab turns to brine, thick, stinging, impossible to breathe. The tanks behind me bubble like distant thunder. Outside, the sound is a slab of hammered steel under a Seattle sky that forgot color exists. I'm 31, mapping ghost reefs for a living, but right now I'm 16 again, clutching a blue ribbon while my parents cheer Lydia's perfect fouette from the front row. The door sighs. Callum slips in with 2 paper cups, rain beating on his lashes. He clocks my face and the coffee stalls midair. Talk. I shove the phone at him. He reads, knuckles whitening. She wrote this. Typed it. Hit send. Didn't blink. He lowers himself opposite me, elbows on the desk like he's bracing for a dive. Unpack it. So I do. I tell him about the regional science medal that lived in a drawer because Dad was busy framing Lydia's headshots. About defending my thesis to an empty auditorium while they helped Lydia pick sorority colors. About the science paper that should have been a banner day and became a shrug over breakfast. Every time I broke the surface with proof I existed, I say, they were busy gilding Lydia's pedestal. Callum's thumb traces the inside of my wrist. That ledger's on them. Blank pages don't mean you're empty. I want to tattoo the words on the inside of my skull. Instead, I stare at the screen until the letters blur. Another buzz. Lydia. Asterisk mom says she uninvited you. Honestly, Sel, it's kinder. The venue's couture level and you hate heels. Let's not risk tears on my day, asterisk. I laugh, one cracked note that startles the clownfish. Callum reads over my shoulder, jaw ticking. That's surgical. Yeah. She never had to swing the knife. She just handed it to Mom and smiled. That night, in Callum's loft above the ferry docks, the city smears neon across black water. He's reducing wine and shallots. The kitchen smells like mercy. Tell me about yours, I say. He wipes his hands, sits. Ma'am still measures my height against the kitchen door frame every Christmas. Mails me blurry photos of every lingcod like it's the Rosetta Stone. My sisters flew in for my postdoc, 16 hours, one screaming toddler, ma'am, ugly crying through my slideshow. I rest my head on his shoulder. Sounds like sunlight. It is. And you're allowed to photosynthesize. Later, plates clinking, he pauses. About last month. For weeks ago, right here, he'd pressed a tiny opal into my palm and said, asterisk marry me, Selene. Not when the stars align, because you already are one, asterisk. I'd asked for time. He'd given it like oxygen. Tonight, with Lydia's circus 6 weeks out and my mother's blade still warm, the last barnacle on my heart loosens. Yes, I say. A spoon clatters. He crosses the room, lifts me until my feet leave the floor, kisses me like the tide-claiming moon. You mean it? I mean it harder than I've ever meant anything. He sets me down, eyes wild. Celebrate? Tell your family. I snort. They revoked my ticket to theirs. I'm not crawling back with a +1. He studies me. That glint. What glint? The one that says you're done mourning dead coral, and you're about to seed a new reef. I laugh, real, saltwater laugh, and the sound shocks us both. The next week I build. Not crystal chandeliers and string quartets. Something that smells like low tide and wonder. I call my cousin Mara first. She's the only relative who ever asked to see my dive logs. You're marrying, she shrieks. When? 8 weeks. 1 week after Lydia's. Silence. Your mom's head's going to explode. Let it. I'll be busy breathing. I invite my crew, Jules who can read a pH spike like Morse code, Priya who named a seamount after her grandmother, Leo who sobs every time we tag a returning turtle. I invite mentors whose citations are my bedtime stories. I invite the filmmaker who turned my bleaching maps into elegies. Then I dial Dr. Valentina Reyes. She's 75, braid like whalebone, and once told a Senate committee to fund reefs or fund funerals. I met her at a symposium. She'd cornered me after my talk and said, asterisk, you're mapping grief. Keep going, asterisk. Dr. Reyes, I need a favor that'll sound insane. Insane is my native tongue. I tell her about the beach, the scientists, the life I'm stitching from salt and stubborn hope. I'm in, she says. But I'm making calls. The replies avalanche. Dr. Mateo Ortega, hydrothermal vent oracle. Professor Lin Zhao, genome wizard. The Nat Geo shooter who made my dying reefs look like cathedrals. Callum stares at the list. Selene, there are Nobel laureates RSPNG. They're my people, I say, and the truth blooms warm in my sternum. Venue. A colleague's wild scrap of San Juan shoreline, driftwood, madronas, the Salish sea glittering like it's keeping score. Callum's family lands from Galway. His ma'am envelopes me until I smell peat smoke and unconditional. You're the answer to prayers we didn't know how to word, she whispers, and I leak tears into her cardigan. 2 weeks before Lydia's wedding, I bump into Dad at the co-op. He flinches like I'm a stranger. Selene. Helping with Lydia's big day. Heard I'm banned. He shifts avocados. Well, take care. He leaves without asking about my grant, my dives, the moon. The last filament between us frays to nothing. Lydia's wedding Saturday, I'm hip-deep in eelgrass with Callum, counting blades for a restoration grant. Mara's photos ping. Ice sculptures, Lydia in a gown that could finance a research vessel, guests dripping diamonds. Gorgeous, Callum says. It is, I agree. And I'm not lying. I'm untethered. That night Dr. Reyes calls. Streamwave wants to film your wedding for a series. On scientists who refuse to let the oceans die. They saw your last paper. They want the love story behind the data. I picture my family's country club pageant. Then I picture 100 scientists toasting with tidal water. Tell them yes. 3 days before ours, the crew arrives 5 shadows with lenses soft as barnacles. Director Amaya has tidal eyes and a voice like kelp swaying. We're not staging, she says. We're witnessing. They capture B-roll, moon snails carving perfect spirals, Callum and me tracing current models in the sand. Callum's ma'am tells the lens about the night he called home. Breathless, there's this woman who speaks fluent ocean. Then Mom's voicemail detonates. Asterisk, Selene, Mara says you're marrying on a beach with randos and cameras. This is ridiculous. Call me. Asterisk. I delete it like shedding ballast. Wedding morning, I wake to ravens and Mara snoring in the bunk. Nervous, she mumbles. Only about Orca's photo bombing. Guests trickle in flannels, sun hats, legends, and chacos. The crew catches Dr. Ortega arguing carbon sinks with a postdoc over coffee. Then Mom's Escalade growls up the gravel. She emerges in pearls and judgment. Dad, Lydia, her fiancé Barrett. They look like they've crash-landed on an alien atoll. Amaya finds me. Uninviteds. Your move. I smile slow. Back row. Roll film. Dr. Reyes offers her arm. Shall we? Dad's 30 feet away, staring at driftwood. Lead the way, I tell her. We walk the sand aisle. Callum waits barefoot, eyes glowing like bioluminescence. His family beams. My crew waves. In the back, Mom's face cycle shock, calculation, collapse. The efficient, my thesis chair, speaks of currents, partnership, choosing the reef you'll bleed for together. My vows. I promise to dive every trench with you. To toast your wins and hold you when the data guts us. To measure our years in living coral, not filtered selfies. Callum's voice. Fractures. I promise to see every stratum of you. To remind you you're a force when you forget. To love you raw, no polish, no apologies. We kiss as the sun liquefies into the sea. The cheer is a breaker crashing. Reception. Driftwood tables, cedar plank salmon, bonfire. Professor Zhao tells Lydia, your sister's models just rewrote bleaching forecasts. We're saving atolls because of her. Lydia's smile calcifies. Barrett mutters. Mom corners Mara. Who are these people? Selene's chosen, Mara says, syrupy. I take the mic, firelight licks 100 faces that chose wonder over wealth. I was raised to believe my questions were noise, I say. My victories asterisks. I shrank to fit their frame. Then I found you. You taught me family isn't blood, it's who surfaces when the reef bleaches, who toasts when you publish, who sees you glowing with algae on your forearms and calls it beautiful. The roar rattles stars. Dad later, I didn't know you knew, giants. You never looked up from Lydia's spotlight. Mom hisses if we'd known. You'd what? Suddenly see. Lydia, this feels like revenge. No, I say. This is respiration. Mara escorts them out. Taillights vanish into Salal. The night erupts, Galway reels, debates about bathypelagic dragons, as mores with scientists who've named polyps after their kids. At moonrise, Callum and I walk the rack line. Phosphorescence sparks under our toes. Regrets? Only that I waited 31 years to exhale. 6 weeks later the episode drops. Hashtag Tidebride Trends. Views, 58 million in 72 hours. Comments. This is chosen family. Cried when she said she was noise. Headlines. Ecologists' beach vows unite ocean saviors and expose parental eclipse. Inbox. Grants, TED, letters from girls who now believe in goggles over tiaras. Mom posts throwbacks. Proud of both my brilliant girls. Comments. You banned one from the other's wedding, Karen. Lydia texts. Asterisk watched the doc. I was complicit. I'm sorry, asterisk. We meet. She's stripped of varnish. I performed perfection because silence hurt less than truth. She leaves Barrett. Takes a job fundraising for kelp forests. We trade memes about pH swings. Dad arrives with my dusty regional medal, polished. I was blind, he says. I want to see now if you'll teach me. I teach him. Slowly. He reads my papers, asks about dissolved oxygen, shows up to lab tours. Mom calcifies in her exile, still convinced the tide wronged her. 2 years on, I'm on a catamaran off Tonga, watching a reef I helped resurrect pulse neon. Callum's hand rests on my 8-month swell. The sweetest justice wasn't the viral wave. It was this, a life so luminous their shadow can't reach it. I was never the afterthought. I was the entire sea. If your worth was measured in silence, what did you grow in the dark? Tell the tide below.